You want to see something crazy? Take a look at this.
Trust me, brother.
Hey, brother. Hey.
Andre,
Hey,
film it, man.
hey,
Film it. Film it.
Hey, bro. Hey, there's no need for violence, guys.
I'll
There's
get
no
your fucking cunt in a minute.
Hey.
You understand me?
No, you don't need to be videoing.
Well, I can actually.
I'll turn it off, bro. I'll turn it off. I will turn it off. Right? Fucking phone.
I've got it off.
Where is it?
It's in my pocket. It has I'm filmed the thing.
Get the phone out now.
Can we just...
Get the phone out now. Come on. Front door. Big phone.
Hey, leave the beat, please. Leave your beat.
You know what that was? That was Mark Graham, the guy we interviewed who's recording all the illegal destruction of forests that have been around since the time of dinosaurs because the New South Wales Liberals refused to do it, getting beaten up by employees of the New South Wales Liberals for daring to do something perfectly legal. Can we just say this? If you want society to run the exact opposite way it should, vote Liberal. None of that would have happened under a Labor government. Those apes would have been out of a job long ago. And not because they bashed two guys that did nothing wrong. In fact, less than nothing wrong. They were making sure the loggers weren't doing anything wrong, because they frequently do. Do you think people who look like this and their response to being filmed is, you go smash man, understand law? We know from experience they don't! But this goes deeper than that, okay? Butterfly effect deep. This interaction would have never have happened. These people wouldn't know each other. They wouldn't even inhabit the same space if Labor was in. Mark and co would be sustainability officers at some furniture factory taking well-deserved naps on their sustainably sourced bunk bed range, and they wouldn't have to worry about whether the timber was coming from dinosaur trees, as Labor was going to ban forestry from this area. It's looking like they're going to ban native forestry altogether, like WA and Victoria are, so the loggers wouldn't even be committing these crimes to begin with. They'd be dead-arming each other with those giant claws in a scrapyard, as that would be their new jobs. You know how this whole ordeal was filmed on a phone? I mean, of course you do. I'm not implanting memories in your head. Except for this one. Oh, do you remember Saddle Club? That wasn't filmed on any of Mark's acquaintances' phones. Clearly, the loggers saw to that. It was filmed on one of the loggers' phones. Karen Morrow from New South Wales Forestry. Oh my god, Karen! Internet cliche has entered the chat! Seriously, how dumb are these cunts? They're filming themselves being the aggressor and thinking, yeah, this makes us look good. Hit him again. Yeah, the power. And you know what? She was right. She was right, because the footage got passed on to more fucking idiots at the local cop shop. Now again, I don't want to paint all cops with the same brush here. I honestly do think most cops are tops. I know that every time I ever say anything about cops, there's always going to be a bunch of Goku hairs in the comments. Oh, don't get me started about the filth, man. Once I was pissing on a church and they fucking charged me. I told them, piss Christ is like a work of art. What, you're saying mine's not good enough? But no, in this instance, yes, power absolutely did stick with power. The local sergeant, Wade Goddard, saw the footage, and you know what he wrote down the loggers' actions as? Self-defense. Self-defense. What were they defending? Their family honor? You couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt they weren't acting in self-defense with that footage. What if this cop saw a bear swipe a salmon out of the river? Well, that was clearly self-defense. The fish jumped right at him. You know what happened? Mark, the guy that got wailed on, Mark got charged for being within 100 meters of logging machinery, which, as you can plainly see from the footage, no, he wasn't. And even if he was, which he wasn't, who the cares? It's obviously the cops working in cahoots with another government department to cover up an assault. This is what happens when the Liberals are in power. Everything you complain about, wasting taxpayer money, corruption, police brutality, it's like your imagination of what you think all governments are like. That actually manifests under the Liberals every time. New South Wales is just in the Sir Joe cycle because they've just been in for so long. Like, how many laws have been broken at this point, and yet the only people facing consequences are those bringing attention to the numerous laws being broken? I'm telling you, that's what you vote for when you vote for the Liberal Party, the complete inversion of the natural order of things. Thankfully though, Mark said, no, I'm going to be pursuing legal action. Like, the fact that they're logging this area is egregious enough. enough, let alone a violent cover-up now spanning over 2 New South Wales Liberals government departments, despite them filming it. What the f***? It's so weird. Until John socked a cameraman, I always thought, okay, once someone's filmed attacking someone else, that's end game. The video isn't an art installation. I didn't know you could treat it like COFA students treat another COFA student's work. Bam! My interpretation of this isn't a clown dancing in black and white. You don't get an opinion on this. Jesus Christ. I'm starting to think Lady Justice being blind in the era of camera phones isn't a good thing. After fighting this for years, and I hate this about the Liberal Party especially, right? Oh, you want morality to prevail? Get a lawyer. They've privatised justice. Like, the idea of justice is like fucking Telstra now. Mark fights it for 2 years, and you know what him and his team discover? That the sergeant, Wade Goddard, a public servant paid to punish crime. This is the same sergeant Mark claims, and a credible witness was there, by the way, when Wade told Mark, quote, get a job and, quote, stop wasting my time. But look at how he treats the head of that area's operations. Tom Halliday. What a tone shift. Thanks, Tom. I'm hopeful that Matt Parker was not present on this date and therefore further taints the evidence of Mark. Are you able to find out for me? I have many dozens of reasons for this matter to not proceed, but need to make sure I cross my T's and dot my I's. Oh, that sounds like the email of someone doing an impartial investigation. Give me every reason you can so I don't have to believe what I saw with my own eyes.
So many bigwigs at the New South Wales Forestry Corporation knew about this.
Anshul Chaudhry, the CEO, Daniel Twan, head of native forestry logging. I mean, what a great asset to this nation, eh? And Elizabeth Fowler, the PR manager. Fucking hell. Imagine being the PR manager for something as evil as New South Wales Forestry. You might as well be the PR manager for orcs. They do the same shit. Don't you reckon? If those loggers saw an int rumble out of the trees, they'd definitely be throwing a stick of dynamite in that mouth, don't you worry. All the bigwigs in New South Wales Forestry, they all knew about it. Here they are celebrating the fact that they're getting away with filmed crimes. And to say that New South Wales Liberals and Nationals didn't know about this would have to include coincidences even bigger than John just so happening to get a job that he wasn't qualified for that he invented. No way would local members not know about this event, which really shows just what happens when you get these shonks elected. The coalition and their appointees will commit crimes to cover up crimes against nature that are then covered up by people who are supposed to be preventing crimes, and that's just what we know about. Can you imagine what happens behind closed doors? Because once you get amoral people in office, they appoint amoral people to the bureaucracy, and then the government acts only in its own interests, and you just get this spiral of widespread, institutionalised and encouraged awful behaviour that absolutely no normal human being would think is remotely acceptable. And yet, what do you hear out of the press? What do you hear out of Prime or Dear Old Auntie? As we've shown over and over, this is not an isolated incident when it comes to the bush. Local ABC radio routinely hides shit like this from its constituency, so is it any wonder that the Nationals get re-elected with even more certainty than what's going to be on television next week? Which is exactly why you need to support us on Patreon, because every facet of power that this story was given to did everything they could to punish the guy who's beyond legally in the right, morally in the right, so morally in the right that if any philosophy student tries to argue, yeah, but what is morality? I'll wail on him harder than these logheads did to Mark, and then I go to jail where I belong. That's what's supposed to happen when you do this, not this. In fact, Mark's such a good dude. He isn't even looking for a fundraiser for his legal costs. He wants all that money to go to the Bellingen Environment Centre that is constantly tracking the environmental condition of what the New South Wales Liberals should be doing at an absolute minimum of basic governance, but of course they're not. So send your money there. Like and subscribe to this channel, because we need to convince more people not to vote coalition ever, because God help New South Wales if these lot get another 4 years. Can you imagine another 4 years of this?
Film it!
Hey, there's no need for violence, guys.
I'll get your fucking cat in a minute!
Please share and comment below. Comment.